As the Nigerian Senate Monday begins screening of the first batch of 28 ministerial nominees of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu amidst opposition to some of the faces that made the list and concerns over possible breach of constitutional provision, we engage one of the vocal voices of the immediate past, critical of the immediate past governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, among others. El-Rufai is a nominee for the ministerial position from Kaduna State. He once, our guest once represented Kaduna Central Senatorial District and is a non-political voice who recently voiced out his opposition to some of the choices made by Mr. President. He will also be analyzing the outcome of resolutions made by the ECOWAS heads of states and government on the military takeover in Niger Republic. With the threat of involving military action against the coupists, should they fail to return the country to democratic governance, we ask so many questions, including what are the implications of some of these actions? What will happen to Nigeria in the event there is outright war in Niger? And what happens to other neighbors? We have in the studio Senator Comrade Shehu Sani. As I said earlier, he once represented Kaduna Central Senatorial District in the Senate. Welcome to our program, distinguished.
Thank you for having me.
We are happy having you after such a long time.
Thank you.
All right, we're taking a short break, and when we return, the conversation commences. Don't go away. Welcome back. If you are just joining, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow the conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. Still have in the studio Senator Shehu Sani, who represented Kaduna Central in the Senate, and he's also a civil activist. Before we went on break, with just still issues around Senator Tinubu's ministers. Now, on the first day, you've seen the screening of some nominees. Are you satisfied with the approach by the Senate? Some were asked to take a bow, like Wiki. He was asked to take a bow and go. You know, another one, problems around his credentials, like the senator from, the nominee from Benue State, Professor Joseph Hussein. He said he was born in 1980 but finished primary school in 1989. But while some senators wanted to interrogate, he was asked to also go. This is, amid the claim by the Senate President that they are going to have a thorough scrutiny of the ministerial nominees.
Well, my own expectation or my thought was that this time around, ministerial nominees will be interrogated or screened from an informed position. That is, not just your portfolio should be, not just your credentials should be attached to you, but the president supposed to have attached what ministry is each and every one of them going to preside over. But unless you have that, he will just be rambling. If a man is brought before me, if you're going to be a minister of aviation, I know that I will come in with a set of questions on aviation, the challenges, the problems, the vision, and then I'll ask you on them. If you are going to be a minister of works or minister of health, I know what to ask you.
Yes.
But you send people to the National Assembly to be screened by politicians who are senators. And many of them have their own personal interests.
Yeah.
In the sense that either the nominees were their friends or their schoolmates, or they expect to be soft on them, so they don't know what will happen tomorrow. The nation is shortchanged. Look at how the British Parliament and the American Congress interrogate political appointees.
Yeah.
Can you compare it with what you see in Nigeria today?
Honestly.
A senator will stand up telling a nominee that I know you are my classmate,
yes.
I know you are my friend, and I know you have the capacity, the competence to deliver.
Excavating all the relationships.
And I believe that this man, and I'm calling on my colleagues to please let him take a bow and go. Is that why you are elected as a senator? Is that why? Go back and see how I interrogated Amechi when he came before us in the 8th Senate. The 8th Senate, there. I'm not singing our praises, but it remains one of the best Senate in the history of Nigeria. It's going to continue to be for some time now. For the fact that any person who is brought before us knew that you are before a National Assembly.
Yeah.
You are not before a classroom. You are not before your own subordinates. You are before the parliament of a country. And you are going to take over sensitive position for which will affect the lives of over 200 million people. The way the senators are screening, it's as if it has turned into a comedy. If you have a nominee, for example, someone or the person of Wiki,
yeah,
what ministry are you going to take over? Okay, you want to take over Ministry of Works? Fine. Please, I have a question on this. These are the number of parastatals that are in Ministry of Works. Can you tell me that you have an abandoned project, Kano to Maiduguri road? We have East-West road that has not been completed. We have this and that. In a situation where we have limited funds, what can you do differently? These are the kind of question. You don't start asking him that we were in the same party together and then we were in the same committee together. This is not how to screen. The screening going on in National Assembly is a joke.
Yeah, don't you think it was deliberate? Because when the Constitution was being reviewed, you know, to compel the president to submit list in 60 days, that they refused to put an article to say that the list should come alongside portfolio.
Yeah, but that is the issue. So, but even at that, the quality of interrogation is disgraceful and disappointing.
Yeah.
Please, I want you to look at the caliber of people who have at First Republic as parliamentarians. Just go back memory lane and see how a member of the parliament from all Midwest or Northeast, Borno State, or Sokoto State, how they speak, and you compare them with what we have today. So I'm saying that if you say this is screening, please, it should not be a place for praise singing. It should not be a place for applauding nominees. Should not be a place when a nominee is going out, you follow him and collect his number that have been served to you. This is not a parliament. This is not supposed to be the behavior and ethics of a senator.
Okay, before we move to Niger Republic, I want your take, just brief, that what do you think Tinubu should do to amend some of the shortcomings in the first set? Maybe since he has another list to submit to the National Assembly.
You see, Tinubu has a track record of bringing the best into government, but he was able to achieve that in Lagos. But I know Nigeria is bigger than Lagos.
Yeah.
And our complexity, our problems and challenges are far bigger. So my own expectation of him is that, looking at the time he has spent in politics and the time it has taken for him to be where he is today, he should be guided simply by competence.
All right.
Buhari made a tragic mistake, appointing people into office and keeping them for 8 years. Never in the history of Nigeria has people been appointed into office and been given a blank check for 8 years without any serious cabinet reshuffle, without any sacking and replacing ministers. It only happened under Buhari.
Maybe only also during Gowon, when he had super permanent secretaries.
No, that is secretaries.
Yeah.
I'm talking of appointment as ministers. Can you imagine under Buhari administration where a man will complete his tenure in office and they will extend it by 2 years? And when the 2 years is extended by 6 months, and when the 6 months reaches, they will extend it by 2 weeks or 1 week. Now, this is how he ran a government.
Like the immigration boss.
So, for Tinubu, the task before him as a leader is to do something differently from what other Nigerian leaders have done.
Okay, we hope he does that. Yes. Let's move to Niger. I saw your post. You gave some 13 points, I think, that Nigeria must look at critically so as not to fall into a booby trap of sorts. But in the last 3 years, we have 6 countries down to the hands of coupists: Sudan, Chad, Niger Republic, Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso. Why are you pessimistic about Nigeria's approach to the crisis in Niger?
First of all, when you see a democratic government crashed, the crashing is not from outside of the country. It is something that is a product of the problems within the country.
Okay.
Mali crashed, then Guinea, then Burkina Faso. We have Chad, Sudan, and then Niger now.
Yes.
If you have good governance and genuine democracy, it's going to be difficult for people, for army to pick up arms and overthrow governments.
It's very unlikely.
It's very likely. Look at the situation. Most of those states where military have taken over, you will see there is a problem of election rigging.
Yeah.
There's a problem of poverty. There's a problem of insecurity. There's a problem of widening gap between the rich and the poor. There's a problem of people don't want anyone to win election, only they themselves and ruling party dominance. For example, now, in the Central African Republic,
Yeah.
the president has initiated a referendum to give him the opportunity to contest for third term.
Just as we have
Yes.
in the other countries.
And the AU is silent, and the international community are silent. Now, you allow him to
Extend himself.
and then when military comes, you condemn military takeover, and then you demand for restoration of democracy. But when democracy is decaying, when democracy is gradually collapsing, that is when leaders from outside of the country need to tell the leaders the truth, but they don't. In the case of Niger, I tweeted that 13 points
Yes.
on the basis of the resolution which I've seen. People are saying that because the military led by General Abdurrahman Chani has taken over power, and as such, all options should be open, including the use of military. And I said, first of all, I condemned the military takeover in Niger Republic on the basis that as a Democrat, I would not see myself aligning myself with the military regime.
Yeah.
But secondly, I look at this point. There was no military action against Mali, Burkina Faso, and
Yeah.
Guinea.
Yeah.
So why should we use the military against the Niger coupists? One. Secondly, Nigeria shares a very long border
From Sokoto
with Niger.
to Maiduguri.
to Maiduguri.
Yes. That's Borno
Any
State.
war declared by ECOWAS against Niger Republic military junta is simply a war between Nigeria and Niger.
Welcome back. If you are just joining, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow the conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. I still have in the studio Dasuki Arabi, the Director General, Bureau for Public Service Reform. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much for
Yes. Now we're talking about reforms, upgrading services, and all that. Where is the missing link between reform, reducing cost of governance, and then providing job opportunities? Because if you are to provide job opportunities, definitely you will incur more cost. If you don't provide job opportunities, it's recipe for chaos, because youths that we are churning out of our universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education, they are all looking towards the government in Nigeria for work to do.
The National Strategy on Public Service Reforms is setting an agenda for government to provide enabling environment for the private sector to thrive and provide space for employment of the teeming youth that we have. On the payroll of the civil service,
Yes.
there are just about 70,000 civil servants.
At the federal level?
At the federal level.
Less than 100,000?
Yes, less than 100,000. If you put everybody around federal public service, they're about 2.5, 2.7 million.
Okay, you're talking about
the parastatals
and all that.
Yes, yes. So,
oh my God,
yes,
what is the percentage when you look at the 130 million population?
Yes, and look at how many students, how many graduates are coming out of universities, colleges of education, polytechnics, and technical schools. Annually, we produce nothing less than 1 million graduates. The government at the federal and in the state and local government will not have the space to absorb everybody. You can see the President, Excellency Bola Tinubu, commended the private sector for quite a number of things that they are doing to help his government and help the nation. And you can see that some of the initiatives he spoke about yesterday, be working with private sector to do this, working with private sector to do this, working with farmers to do this. That
means
like
he's obsessed with the private sector.
Yeah, he's obsessed with private sector, knowing that government cannot provide all what we need to citizens of the country. But if you have an environment that is good for the private sector to thrive, of course they can take all what we need. And you can see that he spoke again during his swearing in on value addition for Nigerian agri-produce for export, so that we get more value for it. He spoke about support to small and medium-scale enterprises. Yesterday, he repeated the same thing. Yes, and another support is going out to them. So the focus, I think, should be around enabling the private sector, providing an enabling environment for them to thrive and be able to help government to observe some of these graduates.
So if I understand you, while your mandate is public service reform, you didn't close your eyes to even private sector reform of sorts?
No, we have not. And we have been driving some project around youth unemployment in Nigeria and what government will be doing. So if you get through our website, you'll be able to see the policy brief.
Oh, it's open?
Yeah, it's open. And we can provide a copy of that for you. And the reforms are saying the National Strategy on Public Service Reforms is a common agenda for reforming the entire public service. As we are doing that, it is also coordinating reforms in ministries, departments, and agencies of government together. Between colonial period and the latest reform that we are driving, there have been about 13 and 14 public service reforms. But those reforms were handling one or two aspects of the public service, and nobody seems to know some of the reforms beyond the agencies responsible. Now, this is a central agency, and this is a central document.
Yeah, that is coordinated. Strategy for Public Service Reform.
Yes.
Office of the SGF.
Yes. Yes, this is coordinating the reforms, making sure that it's a one-stop shop where you go. You'll be able to retrieve information on what has happened from 1999 around reforms to date in Nigeria. We're trying to change the process, make sure that we have well-equipped, well-skilled and re-skilled public servants to deliver public service to Nigerians as at when due.
Okay, sir.
Now, we are aware that there's this contradiction between reforms, adoption of technology, and creation of jobs.
Exactly.
When we started digitalization around 2004, adoption of computer utilization in ministries, lots of people say jobs will be lost. But we have seen migration of secretaries that were able to be trained from secretary to data officer.
Yeah, those who are using typewriters and all that.
Yes,
well, they analyze data.
Yes, they've been converted. Yes, they're converted to.
So no job losses to some extent.
No job losses.
Maybe only those who could not adapt to the new norm, maybe because of age or whatever. You let them go.
Yes. Now we have we have created a new agency for data management. data bureau in Nigeria. Now, what the law says is every agency must have a data officer
Yeah.
that will be responsible for the data being generated in that place.
Wow, which is creating job.
Which is creating job.
And making things easier.
Yes. Now, you spoke about abuse of IT management of that means cybersecurity should come up as a unit or a department
Yes.
in some agencies of government. So cybersecurity experts are being recruited.
So meaning
You have seen-
while some sections are being phased out,
Yes.
naturally new
Once
sections are being created.
Yes, are created. Now, when EFCC was standing on its own, it had financial intelligence unit hanging between EFCC and Central Bank.
Yeah.
Now it's an agency
NFIU.
standing, yes, on its own. And that is to address some of the challenges that are coming up as a result of the reforms that we are driving.
Okay, are you worried because of certain factors that at the federal, state, local government levels, as well as the private sector, people are reducing hours of work or days to go to work? What will be the repercussion? Because in some places you now see them telling workers to go to work just 2 times a week or 3 times a week. Are we going to pay dearly for this, or you think it's the new norm, we should just go ahead?
As an expert in human resource management,
Yes.
I will tell you it's a new innovation within the workspace. COVID-19, when it came, you remember, for the first 1 week, Federal Executive Council could not sit.
Yes.
As a result of reforms and innovation and readiness of public service to provide service, we came up with a policy, digital, online sitting of Federal Executive Council.
Yeah.
Not only Federal Executive Council, the machinery of government was working. Adoption of ICT in communication become very easy. We quickly adopted. Now, that's why I spoke about reskilling and upskilling. We need to be agile and ready for the transformation that will come beyond just reducing days of work.
Okay.
As you said, will some agencies be relevant? Will some processes of work be relevant? If they are not relevant, what do we do?
Phase them
about-
out.
Yes. So this phasing out and the changes will come naturally, knocking at your door. Either you open, you get into the swim and move on, or you remain where you want to.
But it appears nobody is actually telling civil servants or public servants and those working in the private sector that the fact that your workload, I mean, you're going to office has been reduced, does not mean that you are on the way out of your job. What do you think government should do to let Nigerians understand that is the new norm? Simply that you are to work from home doesn't mean that you're going to lose your job.
Well, I think every responsible person should understand that. I have a friend that works in Google,
Okay.
in United States. And when he came on holiday, 3 weeks holiday,
Yes.
virtually every day for 3 hours, he goes to work.
Virtually.
Virtually.
He goes to work virtually.
Yeah, he goes to work
every
virtually.
day.
Yeah. So with the adoption of blockchain technology and the digitalization of our processes within the public service, the adoption of ECM.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting to that stage where I'll be able to sit down in my house and do a lot of my assignments that I'm supposed to be doing. Already you can see us having meetings during weekends.
Yeah.
Having meetings in the night when we're in our houses.
Yes.
Joining a lot of conversations online.
Seamlessly.
So, yes. So these are things that have come to stay with us. I don't think they should be a threat or of concern to people. What just needs to be done is for us to be ready, to be more mobile, and move within the system as these changes are unfolding.
I know that you are working to reform quite a number of issues. You have discussed e-governance now. What about pension administration? How far have you gone? Taxation, electoral system, fiscal governance, and others.
When you go through the compendium of
Yes.
public service reforms, you've seen that we have done quite a lot around that. But as I said, reforms have DNA. when we started the pension reforms, we thought we had addressed all the problems and challenges.
And not you, a myriad of challenges cropped up.
Yes, along the line, myriad of challenges have come on.
I was told of a civil servant who actually abruptly, signed his resignation letter simply because he don't want to migrate from the old pension system to the new one. He said, not with him.
Yes, a lot of people are more confident of that because, of course, that one is a given figure that will be paid to you, while the new contributory pension system is what you save that you'll be able to
access.
Yes, to access.
Welcome back. If you are just joining, you are watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow us across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. We now have Kenneth Okonkwo joining us on the program tonight to give perspectives on a variety of issues which have made headlines in the last few days. Kenneth Okonkwo is a chieftain of the Labour Party. He was a spokesperson for the party's presidential candidate Peter Obi during the 2023 general election and is currently on the legal counsel of the joint team of the Labour Party and its candidate against the All Progressive Congress and President Bola Tinubu at the Presidential Election Petition Court, sitting in the Court of Appeal here in Abuja. Mr. Kenneth, welcome to our program.
Thank you very much.
The last time we had you was ahead of the election.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So,
yeah.
And thank you, viewers, for tuning in.
Exactly. We had a very good time with you all that, and I hope we enjoyed the conversation again.
By the grace of God.
Yes. So many things within the last few days, but I think we should start with what's happening today. Is it the closing of Nigeria as a whole by the Labour? What is your take on the ongoing protests all over the country?
Well, when people are left with no option, they would have to breathe. They were the ones who said, let the poor breathe.
Yeah, they said it, yeah.
Good.
It's like the slogan of the new government.
Good. So when people are choked and they're about to die, they will fight to breathe. In Nigeria, it has become a fight for survival. People are no longer even talking about progression.
It's not about luxury.
They are talking about survival. You can imagine where the poor are being mocked, even with the gavel. If you are in support that the poor should breathe, say aye.
You are referring to the Senate president. But his team came out and said that he was actually trying to emphasize that Nigerians deserve to breathe.
Good. They are breathing in the street because they can no longer breathe in their homes. There is no more food to eat. There is no more transport to take them to their workplace. There is no more social life. This regime has destroyed the political fabric.
You're a lawyer. Is it really a regime or government? Because we refer to military dictatorship as regime.
Yeah, any system that is in power, it's a regime.
Okay.
So government, you still have military government.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely the same thing.
Okay.
But the regime refers to the people that are in authority. That's why you can say, and it's the same thing with government.
Yeah, it's just nomenclature.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but this regime has, with their policy, succeeding another terrible regime, all from the same party. They have destroyed the economic system of this country. They have ruined it. They have destroyed the political fabrics. The social well-being of Nigeria has been radically destroyed. And our political economy is practically non-existent. To the point that when Nigeria talks, even in international community, they will tell us, sit down. That if you cannot bring a legitimate government in power, what power do you have to tell another government that it is illegitimate? It has come to the level where Nigeria is now a mockery in the international community. And the saddest part is that it is a country that God has so blessed with the human and material resources that should make it a superpower nation rather than the poverty headquarters of the world. This is a leadership problem, and unfortunately, it is getting worse.
But Kenneth, do you think is the way to go? This protest we are seeing now, Lagos, Kano, Oyo, Abuja. In fact, they brought out the gate of the National Assembly today. The protesters.
The only thing that evil needs to be perpetuated is for the good people to keep quiet.
Okay.
If you don't say I am, nobody will say thou art. When this government came in, the first thing they uttered was an illegal outburst. Fuel subsidy is gone.
How illegal? I keep saying, of course,
yes,
you are a lawyer. How
yes.
illegal? The president has the powers
no.
to do that. Is it simply because what he said was not in the speech prepared for him?
No.
Okay.
There was already an existing law that said that fuel subsidy should go by the end of June.
Okay.
So you have no right to come to make a determination on your own or a speech that goes against that law. Simple. It's an appropriation by the National Assembly. It's an existing law.
And nobody is asking of where that money meant for to cover June is.
Good. That is why I'm telling you. So it started with illegality. And as you can see, when the people accepted that fuel subsidy should be removed, because
and the
all of
president
us
was praised, I think, that day.
Good. Because they kept quiet, doing nothing. Within 2 months, the price that was already excruciating was increased by almost 100 naira. We are now buying fuel for 617 naira.
Yeah.
Why the increase? Let me tell you.
Okay.
In that speech, you heard this regime saying they've made a saving of 1 trillion naira.
Yes.
That is not true.
How? How do you know?
The 1 trillion naira is simply the extortion of Nigerians through the NNPC. You make savings from the excess of the profit you make when you're doing business, which you now save for the rainy day. What are they producing? What are they selling? The oil is imported 100%. So what happened is that the cost of their incompetence and dishonesty is now transferred to the Nigerian people to bear.
Oh, sad.
So that's why you're paying 617 naira. And the money they are making from it is what they are calling savings. Sorry, it is not savings. Because the exact amount of money that has always been shipped out of Nigeria for the betterment of the countries abroad, to build their refineries abroad, to give employment to the people abroad, in the name of importation of fuel, is still the exact amount of money that is going out, because you're still importing 100% of your fuel. The only difference is that it is now the poor Nigerians that are being extorted to make the 1 trillion naira.
Do you think the president is aware of this? Because he was the one who said 1 trillion naira, and he was giving figures.
Good.
That was why
the figures he
told
gave
Nigerians,
has nothing to do with the 1 trillion naira. It is sharing the borrowed $800 million.
Now I'm referring to savings he claimed of 1
That's
trillion
what I've
naira.
told you, that it is not savings. It's the extortion they made from Nigerian people who are now the one paying for their incompetence and dishonesty. Because there is nothing new they are producing. They are importing the oil 100%, and they are now billing the Nigerian people to take all the bill from their incompetence and dishonesty. Why do I say dishonesty? You have 4 refineries lying waste from 1999.
Port Harcourt, Warri, Kaduna.
If you had repaired it, there wouldn't have been any need for subsidy in the first place. So Nigerians are paying for the corruption which the president said that a few powerful Nigerians have become so rich, they have amassed wealth so much that they have become a serious threat to the fairness of our economy
And
and to the integrity of our democratic governance. That is absolutely correct.
Okay, but are you on the same page
Now,
with him that very few people are really getting rich?
Who is that rich, powerful person?
Okay, who is that powerful, rich person?
As far as I'm concerned, the president is the leader of them.
But he just came on board 2 months ago.
He was in power and in the corridors of power from 1999.
He has disputed that not once, not twice. He says since he left office in 2007, he never collected contract of 1 naira. He never held any political office.
Now, let's put it this way.
All right.
When a leader of a ruling political party tells you he has not held any political office in Nigeria, is he being honest? What is the most powerful political office you can hold? If not to be the leader of a political party. And he transcended to be the leader of the country. And he's still telling you he has not held any political office.
So you mean he's been economical with the truth?
He is in charge. He said, I single-handedly made Buhari president. And yet he has not held any political
And Buhari
office.
has not disputed this.
And he has not held any political office. He has been in charge of APC from 2015 till date. Whatever has happened in Nigeria, he should take absolute responsibility. If you are the one who single-handedly made somebody president, are you not part of his problem? And you inherited from him. Now, let's move into the main issue.
Yeah.
In that speech, a few powerful rich people are responsible for our problem.
As he said.
Good. You're one of the richest. You're one of the most powerful. Is
It's
that
an
not
allegation?
No.
Saying he's one of the richest.
He said he has never collected any contract from government.
Exactly.
Yet, he ran a presidential campaign. And you're saying he's not rich? Alpha Beta collects the whole revenue of Lagos State. He was the governor of Lagos State. And it's not in doubt that he has been installing all the leadership in Lagos State to date. Since 1999. And you know what he said?
No.
He said that those few powerful rich people have become so powerful that they have become a threat to the fairness of the economy.
Welcome back. If you are just joining me, you are watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow us across all our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. We still have with us virtually from the United States, Prince Adeole Adebayo, the presidential candidate of Social Democratic Party. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, what is the way forward for Nigeria? Do you think that the coming of the Port Harcourt refinery in December, and most likely, Dangote refinery by August, because they said between July and August, and we're now in August, meaning that in the next couple of weeks, it should start work. Will it bring down the price of fossil fuel so that Nigerians will seek some relief?
Okay, I think that maybe after a bit, all of us should go out of this petrol business that we don't participate in. Number one, Dangote Refinery is a private entity. It's not a public, though the NNPC has some minor stake in it. It's a private company. Those dates are not binding on them. They might have allowed President Buhari the honor of going to commission it. It didn't mean that I was ready. They just wanted him to have that sense of achievement that the thing took place in his time. And I have many years and of continuous experience in refinery, in petroleum downstream sector and upstream sector.
Yes.
So I can tell you here that I don't see that refinery producing anything this year, given what I know about the state of the readiness of that refinery of that private company. So it's more likely that you should start thinking of maybe towards the end of next year. But before they become fully operational, it will be 2025. So let us not worry too much about that. Then the other refineries, they have been trying to work out the state of their readiness. Port Harcourt, Warri, and Kaduna. I think that we should try to get them to work, but I think we will need a lead time of not less than 2 years before they can work. So even though the president might have told Labour that it will work by the end of this year, I think that's aspirational. It's good for the president to have that aspiration and to mandate whichever minister he appoints to oversee that department to make that as the top priority. But all of that put together will still not reduce the price of petrol on the street significantly. What the government is doing is that they are going out of price guarantees. They're saying, whatever the market offers, that's what you will buy. The same way for other products. So if you want to go and buy a computer set, you want to go and buy a pen, you want to go and buy paper, you want to go and buy food, government is not guaranteeing that you get any of these items at a particular price. Our government is not in the business anymore of telling Nigerians that they will get petrol at any price. So all those climbing down statements are just to calm people down. So people should just settle their mind the fact that the government has gone out of price guarantees completely. So there's no price control. So what will happen is that we will now merge with the international market in terms of the pricing of white products, that is petrol and other byproducts or refineries. So what it means also is that even if we produce locally, the only way we can reduce the costs here is, one, if the logistic is easier, because if you produce in Lagos and you are selling in Lagos, you don't pay shipping as if you bought it from Russia or Turkey or somewhere. So that might reduce the cost. So whatever is the component of the cost that is shipping and logistic may reduce. But other costs may also increase. For example, if something is wrong with your catalytic cracking system and you need to replace one thing there, it might be cheaper for the refinery that is in Russia to replace it than you, because the company that is making that component is located in Russia and they can easily get it. But if you want to fix it, they have to fly it or ship it all the way to Nigeria. So that may also increase your cost on that side. So by and large, don't hope for a time when the price of petrol will be guaranteed. I think what we should hope for is that the government will do other combination of policies that will make productivity to go high in the country. And if productivity goes high, then our incomes level will go high. And we also do segmentation so that those who are really poor will not be direct buyers of petrol. Because in most countries of the world, the poorest of the people are not direct buyers of petrol. Okay. They don't drive cars. They usually will take public transport like trains, buses. So they're not the one directly buying the fuel. They don't use generators at home because the public power supply will be working. So let's journey towards that direction. We might say, oh, it's going to take a long time, but we've been doing this subsidy argument for almost 40 years from Gawan's time. So if we spend another 8 years, 12 years getting ourselves out of that ecosystem completely, and it's not too much. And those are the areas I will have focused on as president to make sure that we don't dislocate. That when you go and ask somebody on the street, you can walk on the street of New York now and ask somebody and say, how much is the price of petrol, which they call gas here? He will say, I don't know, because he doesn't have a car. It takes the bus. So if you go to London, I ask somebody how much is the price of petrol, they will say, why are you asking me this? I don't know. But if you ask anybody in Nigeria, they will tell you how much this one is selling, that one is selling. So we should move away from that. And we should increase our agricultural output. We should increase our other infrastructure. So if we have better road networks, better trains, better buses, the 3,000 buses that the government is promising, if you do the arithmetic, it will give you about 3 per local government or 4 per local government. So you who are in Abuja there, the whole of Amak, Wuse, Metama, Asokoro, or the Garikis and all of that, then you have like 4 buses from Tinubu. I don't think that will make any difference. But it is a symbolism of trying to let labor people and other watchers believe that the government cares. But I believe that when they settle down, I would expect them to be more robust, to do far better than they are offering. I've criticized them that their so-called palliative is not as robust as even Sure P. And I have to criticize them because I was a critic of Jonathan's Sure P, that it was weak and it was below Abacha's PTF. Abacha's PTF was more far-reaching than Jonathan's Sure P. Unfortunately, Jonathan's Sure P is far better than Tinubu's palliative. So we have to be consistent. It's not that there's no political animosity in that. We have to be consistent when we're evaluating public policies to see that we get the best for our people. So this might be the immediate reaction, knee-jerk reaction to deal with the protest, but a more robust approach will be expected so that they can invest not less than 3 to 4 trillion in public infrastructure that will give members of the public ease. I don't think that even a notable journalist like you are above taking buses. You know, since I returned to the US, I've taken the train, I've taken the bus, I've not had to drive. I've been driven, I've taken Uber, but I've taken the bus, I've taken the train, I've taken the aircraft. So I think that, and I've taken boats. I've used marine transport, where it's the cheapest. I've used the train, I've used buses, I've used public transport, I've used aircraft. So that multimodal way of transportation is not just because you are removing subsidy. Those are the things that are unique as the agents and drivers of your productivity. Because the one approach to this issue of palliative is to look like as if the government is trying to mollify or compensate people. That is not the essence of government policy. Is that the productivity of the people needs to come out of them. And for the productivity to come out, you need them to give them factors of production. Yeah. So affordable land, affordable capital, affordable tools, affordable labor, affordable infrastructure, affordable cost of production, all these things are necessary for you to get something out of this 200 and something million population that will keep boasting of. If you have 100 million Nigerians fully engaged and each one is giving you $1,000 in terms of output every month, the average Nigerian output will be about $12,000 a year. If you have that by 100 million, you are talking about $12 trillion. So that will make you a strong economy that people will start to respect you. So it's not the thing that we're doing now. So I think we need to start working very hard to see that people can go to work, people can produce, people can go to the farms, people can go to the rivers to fish, people can go into other form of productivity, energy costs will come down. Those are the long-term or medium-term to long-term things that the government will do that will get us out of it. But all these cat and mouse over the price of 1 or 2 products is not going to help us. Since the government has taken the plunge, the subsidy is gone for good. And then you can now deal with it. Even when if I become president, I'm not going to bring subsidy back. Because what I wanted to do was to make these adjustments before we phase out of the subsidy. But since they've already created the shock and they've removed it, what is important now is to now they put their cart before the horse. Yeah. So, but if another person comes in, they can change it and put the horse where it should be. But the most important thing is that it should be a wagon that's actually driving forward.
On Daily Politics tonight, we ask these questions. How does the inclusion of 9 former governors among the nominees align with the public desire for more technocrats and fresh faces in governance? What does the changes in the ministerial list reveal about the government's priorities and strategies going forward? And how will the regional response impact the political landscape within Niger and the broader West African region. The day is yours. Simply call the phone number that will be displayed on the screen in the next few minutes or send a text via WhatsApp or SMS to share your thoughts, questions, comments, and concerns. But please avoid using demeaning or derogatory language and keep your responses short and to the point. But before then, joining me to give perspectives on some of these issues is Kunle Adeni. He's a public commentator. Welcome to the program, my brother.
Always a pleasure.
It's like Nigeria fully loaded today.
Oh, yes.
And we're an interesting country, right? If you look at it, yesterday it was about the new threat by Nigerian Labour Congress, the promises made by President Tinubu, and what have you. You know, people went to the streets, the demonstration, and all that. But here we are today, you know, new twist in the National Assembly. Let's start with the reappearance, because it appeared that Keyamo disappeared at certain time. Yeah, right? His name back in the list of potential ministers of the Federal Republic. Why do you think this happened? Why the sudden change? And as I said in the introductory part, you know, he was terribly trolled by tweets. Yeah.
Well, I think it was probably as a result of the political pressure, a lot of people would say, not just on social media, probably even from stakeholders within the party. I mean, I would have said that, yes, I mean, this was someone that gave it his all during the campaign. He spoke for the candidates, defended the administration, and then when it was time for the reward, a lot of people had expected that at least he would get something juicy, I mean, under the administration of President Bola Tinubu. But when the Nigerians saw the first set of names and they saw the second batch, they were wondering what was happening, because I mean, the person that was initially that was even put up from the States, talking about Delta, Dr. Stella Okutete. I think a lot of people found that surprising. That I mean, when you look at the caliber of people that you expected the names to have appeared, those were not the names that did appear on the on that list.
Now, Kule, can you say that it is actually the social media warriors that fought for him? That's my thinking personally.
Well, I think there are two different fights.
Okay.
There are the social media warrior fights, and then even within the ranks of the party in itself, because I don't think there are, you can count the few people that did the kind of job that the Festus Keyamo did, even
but
defending
what about
the administration.
Femi Kayode? I'm beginning to have this fear that maybe if the Senate or even after they finish, we will see more names sent in.
In fact, there is the speculation going around now that there is a third batch. You know, like in school, for instance, where the vice chancellor releases the first set of lists, and then there is a supplementary list.
You also have the VC list.
The VC list. So maybe the last batch that we would see will be the VC list. And my worry is that yes, there is a need for you to consider a lot of people, but there is also the concern as to the need for you to also cage some people, because some people, it's their job. Give it to them, they are natural noisemakers, and then their noise probably should end at the campaign level and not taken seriously where the place of governance is, because but then whether they can flow.
But then where are we really taking governance? You see, initially they said this government, you know, that they are preparing, they are going to come out very strong in terms of ministers. But now look at what is happening. You know, it took long time, almost 2 months, you know, and I brought a guest here who said, if not for the constitutional provision, they wouldn't have even released the first batch by now because of the high profile politics. Are we reducing governance to child's play or something like that?
Well, if you say child's play, some Nigerians may object. They will say that may be going too far when you term it as child's play. But you also look at the seriousness that we approach to the task of governance in Nigeria. Because, like you rightly said, because of the constitutional term limit and provisions, which says that we know it is the prerogative of the president to appoint whoever will work for him in his cabinet. But there was a time frame of 60 days that was given for you to appoint. And why? Because we had a system in the past where the former president
Buhari
came into office and it took about 6 months which raised the question as to whether they were prepared for governance before, or it was just,
the ambition,
exactly.
Fulfillment of an ambition.
He came, and of course, you did not know what it actually took to run that office that you actually were elected for. And so, for you to prevent that problem, because it created a lot of problems for us. The fact that we did not have any cabinet in place, and you could see how the fortunes of the economy was went down. Exactly, within that 6 months. So, a lot of people have said that for us to avoid a repeat of that particular, exactly. We
now,
should take it seriously.
What about Mariam Shetty? I have not seen an individual who was widely celebrated in recent times, especially by young people, as Mariam Shetty. And today she was even at the National Assembly. But suddenly a letter was read that her name was withdrawn. If you were in her position, what will you do?
Thank God I'm not in that position because I probably don't know how I would have been taken out of the National Assembly. Sadly, she did not bargain for it. Sadly, she did not preempt that would happen because, when we talk about this ministerial nomination and screening, it's like you are preparing for a job and you go for a job interview. And they tell you at the dying minute, a job interview that you have probably prepared for like the past 20. In fact, from what we gather, some of them within the last 48 hours will probably not have slept. Because they were
about themselves, about the society.
And don't forget that some of them bring to the table very high qualifications that because we imposed and we put pressure on the National Assembly that it should not be business of usual of bowing and go. There was the demand by Nigerians that you must drill these people based on the qualifications that they have. Let us know what. So you can imagine the preparations. I mean, before you come to the studio, you know what it takes for you to come on. And so you have to prepare. So, and then for one reason, you are being told that you will not be able to do what you prepared for. I think it's a lot for an individual to take. And why I'm not also comfortable with that happening is there was no reason. Maybe a reason could have been communicated to her privately.
We're trying to excavate at our level. But what we gathered so far is that she's a victim of high-profile politics.
And high-profile politics at whose detriment? The detriment of the people that nominated her, or the nominee herself, and the family, because she wouldn't have gone alone. You can imagine the entourage of people that would have followed her to the National Assembly because her name was already called. Exactly. Some people were even celebrating, especially when you look at the qualifications that she was said to have had. And the fact that, yet again, you have given, it was an opportunity for you to give young people more chance to serve in your government. I think that was why she was being celebrated. That coming from a state like Kano State, it was not supposed to be business as usual, where it is the whole politicians that have their way. I mean, there are people in a state like that have also been very actively involved in the political setting.
Initially, some people were saying what we had before when her name and that of the former deputy governor some said that it was to demystify both former governors Ganduje and his good friend turned for, Kwankwaso.